he used to come a couple times a week, bounding in with infinite energy, nonstop talking, like Superman, Spider-Man, and Batman rolled into one. In this moment, I realized the power of yoga to transform lives and to transform special needs children. He was sitting and completely silent, completely still, no thought in the world, and his breathing was just completely relaxed. And I asked him, "Are you okay?" And he came back with this very calm response. "I am calm." Namaste. My name is Sowmya Ayyar, and I am the founder and executive director of Prafull Oorja Charitable Foundation, which trains yoga therapists to serve communities in vulnerable conditions. Today I'm here to discuss with you how yoga can support children with special needs, such as people who are on the spectrum, on the autism spectrum. So I came to India about in 2011, and I didn't really know what I was going to do. I had completed a master's degree and focused on yoga for trauma survivors. And when I came to India, to Bangalore, I found a child with special needs. He literally ran into me one day and started talking to me. And in India, nobody talks to you if they don't already know you. So I was very pleasantly surprised, and I got into a conversation with his parents, who said that they were looking for a yoga teacher for him to support with his own special need. He had been diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity, and he started coming to me. I had a dedicated room in my flat for yoga, which was built for the yoga space, as a yoga space. And he used to come a couple times a week, bounding in with infinite energy, nonstop talking, like Superman, Spider-Man, and Batman rolled into one. So you can imagine it would be a lot to handle him. And even before we started one practice, he was already thinking, what are the next 5 practices going to be? And so to bring him into that space of yoga and to teach him focus, I got him to sit down in Vajrasana, do other practices like Vrikshasana, Titliasana, and so forth. We did several different practices every class. And in one day, a few months afterwards, in Vajrasana, he was sitting and completely silent, completely still, no thought in the world, and his breathing was just completely relaxed. And I asked him, "Are you okay?" And he came back with this very calm response. "I am calm." He had internalized what calm meant, what it felt like to be calm and to be relaxed, something which he had not experienced before in his life. Through this, in this moment, I realized the power of yoga to transform lives and to transform special needs children. Today, I'm going to talk about a few practices that you can take home with you as a parent or a family member and work with your child with special needs, or work with your child who's on the autism spectrum. For children who have sensory overload and sensory issues, my suggestion is that you do yoga practices that are grounding, anything that helps them to feel the earth underneath them and feel that safety and security of the earth. So we'll do a couple of practices. I'll teach a couple of practices. One is the Vajrasana, and from Vajrasana we go into Balasana. And I'll just show you how they are, and then I'll just show you how they are. So we're coming onto the ground on our mat, and we'll come onto our knees. Now, a lot of children with autism or other special needs cannot bend further. They cannot go all the way down. So this is fine as a start. And also, if you want, you can place a prop, a pillow or a bolster or a brick, and have them sit on that if that's easier for them. And this would be Vajrasana. And then if you want them to go into Balasana, you would have them open their knees and come all the way onto the ground. And while in Balasana, we'll sing a small song. I am the light, 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 light of my world. I am beautiful, I am bountiful, I am bliss, I am beautiful, I am bountiful, I am bliss. Children with autism often have this ability to recognize the same sounds, the same songs, the same sights, and they like that consistency. They like having things where they're supposed to be. So when you sing them this song, or if you play it, then if you record it and play it, and they know that it's about to end. And so you can consistently expect them to hold the pose for that long. That itself helps bring awareness, focus, and develop the attention span. So now when we think about what are some of the other practices that we can use for children with autism, there are chanting practices, mindfulness practices, and of course, yoga nidra. So when we look at chanting, I'd like to teach a particular chant which you can practice at home with your children. And this is Om, Aim, Vada, Vada, Vak, Vadinye, Namaha. 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 And this particular mantra is used to bring the speech out of children who may not be able to speak otherwise or may have limited verbal expression. The second practice that I think will be very useful for everyone is to use a singing bowl, a Tibetan singing bowl. And you can buy this, of course, in several different shops across the country or online. And we'll give you some specific links. And my suggestion is to buy a singing bowl that has one central point in the center. And you can just ask your child to look at that central point. It can be a Buddha, it can be a flower, anything like this. And the final practice which I suggest is to use yoga nidra. And the way we at Prafull Oorja have used yoga nidra with children with autism, we create a story around it. So the story is about where the children are going in the yoga nidra practice. Are they going to a mountain or a temple or a beach? So you can take them on this story, and you can, so we actually sit with the children in advance. We develop the story for the day, so that they are aware of what's going to happen. Ask them what they're going to be doing along the way. Ask them to give us responses. So what is it that they are going to see if they are in a forest or a mountain? They're going to see trees. What type of trees? So we try to elicit those responses before the yoga nidra practices, so that when you go into the practice, you can actually remind the child or remind the children of what that response was. So what type of tree did you see? You saw a banyan tree, or you saw a peepal tree, or an ashoka tree, whatever it may be. We remind the children that that's what they saw, so that when they come out of the practice, they have remembered all of that, they have visualized all of that, and then we actually ask them to also do an art representation, an artistic representation with colors and drawing paper, and so that they can again remember. And it's this continual, consistent reminder of the same things over and over again that helps the child with their focus, with their memory, with their intellectual capacity. So what are some of the simple yoga practices that you can work with your child on a daily basis? My suggestion is first to teach them to put their mat out and sit down on the mat. Second is to do a few chants, Om chanting. And then I always like to start with the butterfly pose, or Baddhakonasana, or Titliasana as it's known. And we have a song to go with this. So everybody sits down on their mat in the butterfly pose with their feet touching each other and the knees spread apart. And if the child can't do this much, that's okay. They are where they're at, and we accept that. So they're in the butterfly pose, and we ask them to lift up and down, up and down, up and down several times. First, they go a little bit slow, and then we might go a little bit faster. And we also have a song that goes along with that, which is something like this. Butterfly, butterfly, fly, fly, fly. Fly up high in the sky. The caterpillar, caterpillar, watch this thriller. She spins a cocoon sometime afternoon and takes a nap in her wrap. She hibernates there for beauty, rest, and care. Colors galore, don't need nothing more. Red, orange, yellow, green, and blue. Indigo and violet too. What color is your butterfly? And when you ask this to the children, every day you ask them, what color is your butterfly? The child has the same response the first time, the second time, the third time, and maybe after a few times you start to push them and ask them, well, let's come up with a new color. And eventually the child starts to build their intellectual capacity and their capacity to go beyond. So they're pushing themselves, pushing their limits, and thinking beyond and finding a new answer. Now, if you need to be standing, my suggestion is that we can do something simple like the warrior poses with one foot in front, one foot behind, slightly bent front knee, and then the hands can go up into the sky and come down. And then switch to the opposite side. Always do both sides of the practice. One of the best practices that we can do for this is Vrikshasana, or the tree pose. This is simply, you bring both feet to the ground and feel them being rooted into the earth like a tree. And then slowly shift your weight to one leg. Bring the other leg into a tree-like pose, and then you can grow your tree. I am a tree. Yes, I am a tree. I'll grow big and strong with my family. When I grow tall, I won't be so small, 'cause I am a tree. I am a tree. I grow the food you eat, like mangoes that are sweet. There's many types of me. It's called diversity. I am a tree. I am a tree. A lot of children with autism and also all children with special needs tend to be mouth breathers. They keep their mouth open and breathe in and out through their mouth. And what yoga asserts or what yoga promotes is the breath through the nostrils, through the nose, and to keep the mouth closed. This allows the oxygenation of the blood into the brain and throughout the body and helps anybody, and especially children with autism, to relax themselves, have less anxiety. And my suggestion is that, just to start with teaching a child how to close the mouth and breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out. Again, don't set your expectations very high. Let them start by taking short breaths and gradually increase the length of the breath. Nothing can happen overnight. Everything takes time to get there, and it needs that consistency, the regular practice over and over and over again. Only then we can build our capacity. It's the same way we do for going to school or learning how to read or write. We don't learn in one day how to write or how to read. Every day we learn one letter, and slowly we start to put those letters together and make small words and then make bigger words. The same way we learn how to breathe properly. And simple learning how to breathe through the nose in and out is a great practice. After a while, we can also teach children something called Bhramari, which is the sound of the buzzing bee, or the sound of a scooter, based on what the child is familiar with. And a very simple thing that you can do is have the children breathe in and then make the sound of the scooter or the buzzing bee. Later, there are other versions of this practice of the Bhramari pranayama, but this is the most simple one. If they want, they can pretend that they're riding on a scooter back and forth, or they're buzzing like a bumblebee. And that kind of makes it fun for the child as well. So I would start with these two practices. What happens with the Bhramari pranayama is used for anxiety and for relaxation and stress. Anybody can use it, and for a child with special needs, especially a child with autism, it helps them with anxiety. So when they get in a moment of anxiousness, you can ask them, okay, come back to the Bhramari pranayama. This is a great pranayama practice for the children. So some very basic poses that you can do with a child with autism at home are sitting down, chanting Om, and doing Vajrasana, practicing Vajrasana or rock pose. Also, you can do, of course, the butterfly pose. You can do bounce your knees, a lot of very simple poses. And remember that every child is different. In fact, every single human being is different. So do just a little bit. Start with 1 minute, not more than 1 minute of practice at home. And then the second time around, you can do 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and slowly, gradually build up and increase up to 10 minutes and 15 minutes. It's very difficult for anybody to do longer than a half-hour yoga practice at home on their own. Yoga can benefit every living being. Someone once asked me in an interview, how many yoga teachers, what's the scope for yoga teachers in the world? And my immediate answer was that every living being, every human being can use a yoga teacher. Even yoga teachers can use a yoga teacher. And it just is a way for somebody to see you and recognize you and bring that awareness and then be able to tell you what you might need and give you a new perspective. So in terms of children with autism, how can yoga benefit them? It is something great. Yoga can be a useful tool for them for sensory issues, for emotion regulation, for intellectual stimulation and creativity. A lot of children learn verbalization and expression through their yoga practice. A lot of children that we've worked with, their first word is Om or Soham. So these are really great practices that they can use to develop themselves. Finally, I'd like to give my heartfelt gratitude to Josh Talks for giving me this platform to uplift my voice and the voice of special needs children and the yoga field, the yoga work that's required in this field. Thank you, Josh Talks.
Hello everyone. I'm so happy that Josh Talks has brought this channel out where we can hear the stories of the incredible mothers and fathers of autistic children. I had somebody in my own family who was autistic. If you are the parent of a young child who has autism, please share your information with Josh Talks in the form below. This will help Josh Talks better understand the problems that you face and the content that needs to be created. Your information will be kept confidential. Only a few members of the team will have access to this data who will call you to have a short conversation with you.